Kaido was lying on the ground, and Luffy asks him, "What should I call my last move? Gum Gum, what?" Kaido then responds, "I just have one question," as he looks towards Luffy with blood on his face. "Who are you?" Suddenly, Zunisha appears and says, "How long has it been since I heard this rhythm? Joy Boy, oh Joy Boy, it's as though you are right there. My heart is dancing. I cannot help but feel that fate is at work. I cannot help but have hope in him." Luffy smiles and confidently declares, "Who am I? I am Monkey D. Luffy, the man who will surpass you and become the king of the pirates." Kaido responds, "I am relieved to hear you still have sass, Straw Hat. Awakening is what happens when your mind and body catch up to your powers, and those are certainly ridiculous powers. I have lost quite a lot, much of what I have built up over the years. My followers, my castle. Same for you, right?" Luffy shouts back, "But there's still something I gotta take back from you." Suddenly, Kaido attacks and starts throwing punches directly towards Luffy, using his Dragon Swarm technique. Luffy counters with his own Gatling attack and throws multiple punches back at Kaido. After stepping back a bit, Kaido warns Luffy, "The battle is burning everything below, from the performance floor to the castle. There are thousands of your men trapped down there too. They will all burn to death." However, Luffy remains calm and replies, "Nah, I left everyone else in charge down there. All I have to do is beat you." Kaido smiles and shouts his next attack, "Demolition Gust," as he throws multiple sword slashes towards Luffy, but Luffy stretches his body and dodges every attack. Meanwhile, other Straw Hat members and their allies are fighting Kaido's army on the lower floors. Robin and Brook are together. Sanji is helping the ladies escape the fire. The musician is struggling with a giant. Usopp is fighting and trying to turn off the fire. Frankie is carrying Zoro on his back and escaping, and Jinbei is using his water techniques to turn off the fire. Back on top, Yamato is beating Momonosuke and saying, "You have to make flame clouds to keep Onigashima aloft. It has always been the only solution." The scene then moves back to Kaido and Luffy, with Luffy in the high air, holding lightning in his hand. Kaido is standing in front of him and says, "Onigashima is going to fall." Both Luffy and Kaido are smiling, and the chapter ends. On the rooftop, Luffy caught lightning, and Kaido laughed, saying, "So you grabbed the lightning?" Then Kaido shouted, "Preposterous!" and Luffy shouted, "Gumo Gumo no lightning!" as he threw lightning toward Kaido. Kaido dodged Luffy's attack, and the lightning struck the ground before Kaido. Kaido said, "Play all the games you want," and Luffy was struggling. Kaido threw a strong slash toward Luffy, but Luffy grabbed the lightning and dodged the attack. Luffy swung around lightning and shot himself as a projectile toward Kaido. Kaido continued saying, "Play all the games you want, but abilities alone cannot conquer the world." Luffy was about to launch his attack, but before he could, Kaido struck him with so much force directly on his head. Luffy was falling towards the ground. Kaido continued saying, "Abilities alone cannot conquer the world. The world is convenient that way. Roger didn't have any fruit powers." Kaido jumped in the air and threw another attack at Luffy. Luffy fell to the ground and bounced back. Kaido said, "Because only Haki can transcend all." Kaido then shouted, "Destroyer of Death, Thunder Bagua," and launched a powerful hit at Luffy. Luffy was sent flying, but suddenly he caught Kaido from his chest and tried to take him into the sky with him. Kaido hit Luffy's hand and said, "Let go of me! You are only telling me where to find you!" Kaido transformed into a dragon and shouted, "Dragon Twister Demolition Gust!" He said to Luffy, "You still have a weakness to cutting attacks, I presume," and launched multiple slash attacks towards Luffy. Luffy was hit badly by the slash attacks. He was struggling, and blood was coming out of his mouth. On the top, Kaido shouted, "Let go of me! Come down here, Straw Hat!" and then launched a powerful attack at Luffy. Luffy got a direct attack from Kaido's blast, and his whole body was burnt. Inside the castle, Luffy's alliance had already won. An old man said, "Tell me then, which would you prefer? If the Straw Hat fellow defeats Kaido, we will all fall to our deaths. It means Kaido's won." One person said, "Really? Is that supposed to be a debate?" Another said, "If we win this battle, I'll rest assured they can lead a good life. How wonderful that would be. We will have a country we can be proud of again." Everyone then shouted, "Go ahead, Straw Hat, crush Kaido and don't worry about us." Kid was not liking all this praise. Back on top of Onigashima, Luffy said, "Hey, Momo!" Momonosuke saw upward towards Luffy, and Yamato and Momonosuke were shocked to see Luffy. In the sky, there was Luffy with a supermassive gigantic hand coated with haki, and Kaido was in front of Luffy. Luffy said, "Hey, Momo, I'm gonna put an end to all of this, but Onigashima's in the way, so move it!" Yamato shouts, "He's going to punch right through the island!" Meanwhile, Momonosuke cries out, "Luffy, no!" But Luffy just smiles and says, "Do it, Momo! I believe in you!" Both dragons, Kaido and Momonosuke, are shocked, and the chapter ends. Before we continue, I want to say something. Only a few people are subscribed to my channel. Isn't that unfair? The chapter begins with Luffy saying, "Move Onigashima out of the way." Momo replies, "Wait, Luffy, I can't." Then Momonosuke remembers his father and says, "I can," and starts pushing Onigashima. Luffy and Kaido both look at each other, with Luffy's hand bursting out with haki. Kaido says, "Very well then, I will take your punch. Tell me, Straw Hat, do you know what happened 20 years ago? The hero of this country was burned to death? Ever since, this has been a lawless place, and now you are the hero they have been waiting for 20 years. That's right, let go of me. I am not going anywhere, and that giant fist of yours will not come down on me. It will melt into nothing first." Luffy shouts, "I am not melting!" He names his attack, and Kaido names his attack. Luffy says, "The old man taught me how to do that without touching. It will smash you all the way down to the bottom of hell." Luffy pushes his gigantic hand towards Kaido and shouts, "Gumo Gumo, no Gunbadrang!" Kaido also uses his attack and shouts, "Rising Dragon, Flame Bagua!" Then a past scene of Onigashima is shown, and the chapter ends. From the top of Onigashima, a great amount of haki was bursting out in all directions. Flame Dragon Kaido was trying to bite and stop Luffy's giant hand fist. Luffy was also burning from Kaido's flames. Kaido says, "You fought hard to reach this point, but you cannot change the world." A CP0 agent was running from the top of Onigashima. Momonosuke was shouting, "Luffy will win! I know he will!" Yamato was motivating Momonosuke. Kaido was clashing with Luffy furiously. Kaido says to Luffy, "And what kind of world can you create, Straw Hat?" Luffy replied, "I will make a world where my friends can eat as much as they want." As he spoke, he intensified his attack and threw a powerful and monstrous gigantic fist into Kaido's face, causing him to fall unconscious and plummet towards the ground at great speed. As Kaido was descending, he reflected on his past conversation with King. Kaido said, "King, I think I know who Joy Boy is." King asked, "Who is he?" Kaido replied, "He is the man who will eventually defeat me." King smiled and responded, "In that case, I suppose we will never see him." Momonosuke was exhausted and Luffy was also hurtling towards the ground. With Kaido falling from the sky and hitting the ground with full force, causing him to revert back to his base form. He then plunged straight into the lava below ground, the same lava where Big Mom had fallen during her fight with Kid and Law. Meanwhile, Luffy was falling from the rooftop while Yamato was running towards him. Kaido was burnt in the lava, and Luffy was exhausted from the long battle. Yamato was happy as she saw Momonosuke and Luffy. She shouted, "This is incredible, you two! You are incredible!" Back on top, Momonosuke said, "I will not open the borders yet." To which Zunisha, the giant elephant, replied, "Very well, I will respect your decision. I trust in your judgment." Momonosuke said, "Good, thank you." He felt something and said, "Is this an earthquake?" Onigashima would have fallen, but Lord Momonosuke turned into a dragon and stopped it. Pirates shouted, "Then that pink dragon was Lord Momonosuke! He has powers!" Other pirates also shouted in joy, "We are victorious! Yeah, we have taken down the two emperors of the sea! I never thought I would leave this battle alive!" Everyone was so happy. Law and Killer were smiling. Beppo was bursting out with joy and was hugging Law. Marco was feeling proud. Nami and Tama were looking so happy. All pirates were shouting with joy. An earthquake was coming on Onigashima, and pirates were confused about this. Meanwhile, Kaido and Big Mom were burning underground in the magma pool. The pirates on the ground below Onigashima were confused by the earthquake. Suddenly, due to the imminent fight and destruction, the volcano erupted on Onigashima. With the end of this chapter, we come to a conclusion. In the next chapter, we will see the Straw Hat Pirate's biggest party and the revelation of Momonosuke, who is now a grown-up man and 28 years old. Subscribe to my channel to stay tuned for the next video.